You gotta start the show.
Okay, I have to introduce the whole thing now. This is Grindstone.
No one knows how long it will be. Just be ready to make sure you'll be free. Oh, what if at the end of your Christian life you find out that there's no such thing as Christ? But just in case, oh Lord, you play the sinner's role. Just know at the end you were sure to lose your soul. Tell me now, do you believe? Do you believe? Do you believe? Do you believe? At the end of your good Christian life, what if you find there is no such thing as Christ? Oh Lord. Ooh, that's a heavy bar, ain't it? Woo! Things to think about. Man, shout out to all the things that make sense and all the things that don't really make sense that we try to make sense of. What a life. What a beautiful life. I've learned so much in the past week since the last episode, and it's just really fulfilling to know that you can keep learning, keep connecting the dots of life together, and you just keep finding out stuff, you know? Like no matter how long you've been out here, it's more stuff to learn, more stuff to know. And it's like, my goodness. I thought that I had graduated and I realized I'm a freshman in a whole new class, you know? And nobody's exempt. I mean, think about the women. Shout out to all the women going through perimenopause. Y'all deserve a big shout out. Perimenopause is that stage when, right when the egg's about to go a little rotten. Not even rotten, right when you're about to be freed of the pressure of laying an egg, you know? And it might be characterized by hot flashes, mood changes, mustaches, night sweats, problems sleeping, little irritability. Some might lose their horniness. Some might gain their horniness. Some might have ultra sensitivity. But one thing that the men folks get from the women folks having perimenopause is that you get to shoot up the club. And it ain't going to be no victims. So yeah, I know they don't have a month for that. Like they got Breast Cancer Awareness Month, LGBTQ or Pride Month, Black History Month, Asian Heritage Month. Where the perimenopause month at? It's so quiet about that, you know? And then a lot of women going through perimenopause, they've been divorced already. You know, they've been through their first marriage. And then women who have been through a marriage, for whatever reason, don't talk about the perils of marriage enough. And then they leave other people doomed to like repeat it. It's kind of like silence is violence. You know? If you know something, say something. Save your sistren. But I guess it's kind of the cycle of life, you know? So like I said, you just keep on learning. Part of it is if you're going through the cycle of life, like when if you want to have a nest and lay an egg and have a chick, then you will want a rooster to be around. And once if that man's around, one way to make it happen is like to get legally bound. So it's kind of like this cycle. I just think as you get prepared for your first marriage, you should get prepared for your first divorce. It should be all in the thing. Like, hey, this is a mating season, sis. This ain't till death do you part. especially if you don't have a baby. If you have a baby, it's lightweight till death do you part because like you're connected with that person. If you just got married, that ain't till death do you part. But anyway, big love to the ladies with perimenopause. And welcome to Sorry for My Language. Aw. Yeah. One more for the band. You know? Welcome to Sorry for My Language. I'm Grindstone, your host. This might mess around be episode 108. Man, we keep getting there. My freshman year of college, my girlfriend weighed 108. She was a swimmer. Later turned out to be my son's mom, so episode 108 is something special to me. This is a show, Sorry for My Language, that is my lifestyle philosophy, culture, and music show, where I talk about several different things that I think, I think about different things and as they relate to my taste for music, some things going on in our culture that affect it, and some of my life hacks, and then sometimes it might be about my vulnerability. Like, for instance, this past week, and I may as well throw this in there, my grandmother passed away. She was 100 years old, actually 100 and a half. Count the halves. She was 100 and a half. She passed away. Rest in peace, Nana. It's unbelievable what happens when someone passes away and you don't really consider it a tragedy. Like when it's just the natural finishing of the life race, when they do their due and they become an ancestor, that is magical. It's something about that is underrated, at least as far, some people might overrate it, some people might take it into complete consideration in their daily life because they're used to it. I'm not used to people reaching the end of their natural life without controversy and passing away in their house, naturally and peacefully with their own mind and their own thoughts totally intact. I'm going to say that that's a first for me. My great-great-grandmother passed away when I was 3, and she passed away fairly peacefully, but I was 3, so I didn't really have a perspective on that. And to be able to witness the process with preparation leading to the process, conscious preparation, it just puts another wrinkle in your brain. Another trove of information hits you where you're like, wow, what really matters in life is being surrounded by love in the end. Not just people who you pay for. I saw some people on Instagram acting a fool while doing brain surgery to somebody. So like who you pay for might not cut the mustard. You don't know. But you just really want to be surrounded by loved ones. You want to have a life where you look back on it, you don't have regrets. You don't want to die angry. You don't even want to live angry. But outside of the anger, you just want joy to be something that you include in your life. And I witnessed that. I experienced that. I'm a product of that. And now I moved up on the chain of the patriarchal family. It's kind of like, hey, your turn to be in the game now. I've been in the game, the family game, but, some people are at the top of their family tree. I'm not at the top of my family tree yet. Actually, on the male side, I am. But I still got a fairly matriarchal tree. So for Nana to pass away, she gave all she gave. She was ready. If you're on the fringe of spiritual beliefs, being that close to someone who is ready to pass away, it'll tip you over into understanding that there's more to it than just this human side. Like it was so many things happen supernaturally that, the most educated, most privileged human really, you're not able to plan your understanding around that or the occurrence of such events. It's it's something bigger than us that commands our attention, that you see when somebody's born or when somebody passes away. And then fortunately for a lot of people, you see it sometimes as they live. But it's amazing to me that she's not here anymore. But part of that is beautiful because if you look at life as a race, she finished the race. You can't be running forever, right? So she finished this phase of the earthly race. She passed her test. She passed with flying colors. All the things that you would want from a loved one occurred and just poured love into me. And I'm so fortunate that I'm able to live with such love having been given to me in my life. And then the way she loved my son, man, I was going in some of the rooms in her house and just some of the pictures that surrounded her of my son and of other family members. I was just loving how her main mode of operation was love. And it invigorated me with another meaning of what means something. The main thing that means something is you being in touch with your operation system, with the minerals that make you you, the things that make you move around and do different stuff. What gets you up out the bed in the morning? What do you prepare for before you get into bed so you could pop up and do that when the sun comes up the next day? Like, what are your ingredients? What do you come from? That just dictates a whole lot when it comes to the things that you do day to day, your habits and how you approach things. And if you would like to change those things, you need to address them. You need to be aware of them. And I think that's part of where it's like, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. That hits home more than ever now, because in being intimately connected with the cleanup of our home, the reorganization of things, the final burial of my grandmother. I was the one who closed her casket. Let me be honest. I'm not all the way. I haven't figured it all out yet when it comes to processing the magnitude of that, because part of it is like, I feel like I'm okay. And not being okay isn't a measure of it, but part of it is I feel like I get it. But then there's a larger part of me where I think about it sometimes and I don't get it at all. It's kind of like a kid looking up at the stars in the summertime with fireflies and stars and might be some airplanes. And you're looking up and like, are those other planets looking back at us? Just like the wonder that a kid would look in the ether with. I just wonder sometimes, like, damn, am I still really that unknowing of what's out there? And then the answer is yes. So when it comes to losing a person, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I just know I have to take it one step at a time, one breath at a time. And because she affected so many people, I have to shift position, and we all have to shift position in helping one another process, feel, understand life, because you want to think this is true, but it's not. It seems like certain people shouldn't pass away. It does not seem like everybody's supposed to pass away. And so Even if they pass away in the most grand of fashions, the most natural way, the most beautiful of ways, it just seems like some people are going to be here like the mountains. And physically, they won't. So I'm growing into that space. I've really put a new priority on what's important to me, how I want to experience things, how grateful I am for things. Like when I came back to my house, I walked in and I was like, I have a nice house. You know, I got in my truck. I was like, I have a really reliable vehicle. I went to the garage to see my other car. I was like, I got a really fun car. I got my shower. I was like, man, this water really comes out this shower wonderfully. I just started looking at everything. Everything mattered. I started looking at everything with the sight of gratitude. And I don't think that my gratitude scope was as open as wide as it is now. I even looked at my business, Grindstone Universal, as wow, I really built something significant over time. I looked at all my art on my walls. I thought about several items of clothing that I've yet to even put out yet, that I have, that nobody's seen. And I was like, man, I really have great offerings. I have interesting stuff. And this is stuff that, like, all these thoughts are thoughts that I was thinking about, but I had yet to fully appreciate because I think I was in the grind of working on them, you know? Also, as this time has passed and things have changed, I also look at other people and how some of my relationships with people have changed. And oddly enough, I was looking at something and it said, on social media, people say anything, but sometimes in that infantile, juvenile foolishness that we all might send out a post with, there's wisdom. And so somebody said men have like only five emotions. And one of them is, they're, what are they? I need to fix stuff. I'm tired. I'm horny. I'm intensely lonely. I need to protect. Something like that. I don't know. But in that, I was thinking like, you know what? Those are actually keen observations. And one thing that men do not talk about is the lonely feeling. And as a man, I often feel lonely. I feel alone, which I'm totally cool with, but sometimes I feel lonely, which I grow to be cool with. But the loneliness is this part. Now, when you've evolved from certain situations, how can I say it without being too telling? When you play in the street, okay, there's a certain code of ethics that requires you to cut your feelings out of the deal. And for years, I cut my feelings out of the deal around several people who cut their feelings out of the deal. So when we're dealing with each other, we celebrate together, but a lot of that drinking, a lot of that smoking, a lot of that loud talking, it's the way that we divert a lot of our feelings collectively as men, where we can convene with each other without being vulnerable. And some of the only things that men are cool with being vulnerable about, it's a man will be vulnerable with his boys about heartbreak or about the nervousness of liking somebody, like a woman, or being down and you need to get some money. But outside of that, in certain situations, the only thing that men do is grind up to get money and celebrate when you get some money. And so all the varied emotions go into just a couple of activities as a grown man who specifically plays the streets, because part of it is you can't let nobody know where your perceived weakness is, because somebody might play chess on you and they might play with you, so you live with a certain type of shield. And with that, it's a trip. I took note of this. I've been in several rooms several times, sitting with people who I really care about and who really care about me and will really look out for each other. But the silence when you're getting money with somebody, sometimes, like the silence that you might sit in, it's like, damn, I can't really tell that person how I feel about whatever's going on that I'm thinking that doesn't involve money, like some feelings I might have, and they can't tell me. So sometimes it would be like little pockets of just silence. Because y'all can't talk. Y'all can't talk about it because there's a certain understanding that it rains in the same place where it's sunshine. So we're winning together right now, but we know that this is temporary. And I know that this person could possibly go bad on me if I give them a little too much. And that specifically happens with people you get money with. And I know it happens in black collar, but it might happen in white collar situations too. It's just when business is involved, there's a certain castling of your king with the rook that you have to play. All that being said, I mean, you could go to therapy, but niggas don't be going to therapy. So, and then you can't be pillow talking to your woman like that, because if y'all don't have something solid together, like if y'all don't have a family together, then whoever Susie Floozy is, she might not be there next season. And then she goes somewhere else and tell all your fucking secrets. So there's a certain walling off of yourself that you do for protection socially as a man. And it might be the difference between survival and you being prey. But at the same time, when it's just between you and God and you don't have another human to talk to about it, about whatever it is, it could be a variety of things. It gets lonely. Something to feel on her booty too. From the heart. If I was young and rich, I'd marry you, but I'm old and I hate so. It gets lonely. And hopefully, as a man, you got a great outlet. So, and I know there's a lot of men out here roaming around, they don't have great outlets. Like their outlet, it might be video games, but it's only so much expression that you could get off in a video game. It's like a video game is right next door to being a couch potato. You're not expressing yourself. You're not being you. And you don't get to get that off your chest. So that whatever you got, it just lingers real heavy. And I think, you need something. So the loneliness that you feel as a man, especially as a leader man, quite often, especially as a business owner. All business owners know this, male or female, but it's just certain shit that nobody else will give a fuck about, even if you tell them, you complain. They might kind of give a fuck about how you feel, but they won't even understand if they're not in the same lane. So there is there's a loneliness that goes with that gets brought up, and you do self-investigation on that when you lose a significant person. And the loss of a significant person, it makes you think about your mortality and how temporary your space here is and how you really got to do it right. All that to be saying, I'm a changed man. I don't know what I've changed into yet. I don't know what I'm changing into. I just know that I'm not the same person I was a month ago. There's certain stuff in terms of my field of interest that I've amputated since my grandmother's passed away. I just realized there's like another way. I was around a winner at life, and I saw the ingredients of winning and peace and function and the light of love. I saw like the end of the test, like when you walk up to the teacher's desk and then you be kind of like, I got a question, but then you see somebody who had 100% on their paper, and then you kind of look and you see the answers. She walked me to the teacher's desk. I saw the answers. And that will change perspective if you're ready to change. So I'm really ready to forgive myself about a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff I've forgiven myself about, the way I used to really be one of my harshest critics. I still got my standards. But when it comes to being one of my harshest critics, that's where my gratitude kicks in. And I'm like, dude, like when I've been gone, I don't know, for however long I've been gone. But when I came back, I just looked at all the stuff. My house is reflective of the choices I've made, the peace that I have, even the respect that I have, like to all the people I've touched, there's a gratitude that I have that I'm paying more attention to. It's about time, right? It's about time that I give myself a fair chance at standing on the platforms that I've built for myself via the prayers, hopes, and guidance of people before me and some people along my way who have specifically poured into me to make sure that some of this is possible. If nothing else, they made sure some of the vision is possible. The ability to translate this maze of life. At least they've given me perspective on that. And so I've found plenty of reasons to be totally thankful. And I don't look at any of this now, like none of it, with an aloof attitude or something where it's just there and I take it for granted. I'll be like, damn, I got a computer and I got a laptop. Like I got all the little fancies of life around me, and I think a lot of the times we look at wealth in terms of the things that we could get that we don't have. But a wiser way to look at wealth is to see it as something that you have, if you have enough of something, to give to somebody else who needs it. If you have enough to give away, you're wealthy. This don't always mean money, but it could. I'm thinking about, a lot of the times I think about stuff I don't have, things I want. I think about the future, the types of houses I don't yet have that I want to have, I even think about all types of stuff. And I don't even look at things that I have. And in terms of having stuff, I often don't look at the things, pay attention to things that I have and overlook. So I had to pump all of the brakes. Skirt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can't say it enough. So it's beautiful, man. Life is but a dream. And there's a growth that I think as we go through life experimenting with different patterns of thought, patterns of behavior. We're trying to match this with that. We're trying to see if we express ourselves this way, does this work for whatever? Does it work for us or not? We try to think all these different things. And the more you move towards unconditional love, you're going to include yourself in this pattern of unconditional love. And I've come across a few angels who maybe they morphed into angels and they came across me, but they're people. And I appreciate all the angels who I've come across. And they just give me something that I could walk with. And like, for instance, last week, everything just aligned so beautifully in this one situation where I was in Oakland. Those of you from Oakland, you understand where I was. I was at the lake.
Oakland, California, that's where I'm from. Don't stop macking. Don't stop tapping. Don't stop macking. Don't stop tapping. Oakland, California, that's where I'm from.
Boom. I was in Oakland. So, long story short, this was the day of my grandmother's funeral. So all my family from LA came up, north, south, east, west, we all converged on this monumental funeral for my grandmother. And I did the eulogy. And I wrote something that was very special to me. I sat on it for a while. I didn't, I just wanted to process how I felt. And I think that what I said landed with most people just because of all the feedback that I got. And it was heartfelt. And it was an honor for me to deliver the eulogy because that's my Nana. And so that's a royal person. And so to be a chosen person, to eulogize a royal person, give them their last words in the final physical acknowledgement, that's a high honor for me to receive. So I think I did it right. And in me doing this, in the church where I grew up, and then seeing my son go up there and speak, and the bishop go in there and speak, and, we're on the front row, it was not emotionally easy at all. But I grew that day. Then when it was time to close the casket, because I really didn't want to look at her in the casket, but when it was time to close the casket, I went up there. They asked if I want somebody to come up there with me. I was like, nah, because she would have wanted me to do it. All right, yeah, I'll do it. Bow, close the casket. And that was very unique. I'd never done that before. And I just knew that was the last time that human eyes were going to see her. So it was just surreal. But then at the same time, it was very grounding and very real, not surreal at all. So I did that. Then we go to the cemetery, we do the repast, all this family, drive home, everybody disperses their different ways after a while. And I was kind of physically and emotionally drained because I got up real early that day and really woke up way earlier than the time I was supposed to wake up. And I guess, kind of antsy about everything. But when I laid down for a second and then I got up, because I thought my day was over. I got up and I was like, nah, you know what? I didn't really move around enough today. Like my son, he used to always say,
I didn't get all the energy out of my legs.
like when he was little. And so then that means that he had to go run, play, do something. So then we'd have to hit a park or something so he could just like run around, and I feel that. And that was an interesting way that he'd always describe that. So I didn't get all the energy out my legs that day. And like, you just be kind of tense. Like if you listen to your body, you just feel certain things when you're emotionally distraught. You could feel your body tense up in certain places. So I told myself, I need to go on a walk. So I did. I went on a walk and I walked around the lake. As I'm walking around the lake, well, even before I went to walk, as I'm walking to the lake to walk around the lake, and everybody from Oakland knows what the lake is, Lake Merritt. It was what was that? That was a Friday. Coconut water will do it to it, won't it? It was a Friday. So if you ever go to Oakland, Fridays and Saturday afternoons at the lake, it's a beautiful people experience. So it's Friday. I call my boy, who I meant to call earlier, because he was supposed to go to the lake. I mean, he was supposed to go to the funeral, but he went to the wrong place or whatever. He called me like, man, I was trying to link up and but he went to like a mortuary or something, not the church. Anyway, I called him and he was like, man, what's up with you? I was like, man, I'm walking around the lake. He was like, all right, I'm gonna meet you there. I'm pulling up with so-and-so. So then they met me down at the beginning of the lake. Like, the part where the drum circle is, the library is, for all of y'all from there. And we meet down there. And then he was like, so then they were like, I thought that they were driving and had somewhere to go. But we got there. Now the lake is 3.5 miles around. So walking around the lake, it's a real walk. It's not just like, it's not a pond. It's 3.5 miles around that joint. But it's so much flavor. It's such a perk of a city that a lot of other cities don't even have something similar. Like not even close, which makes Oakland so dang beautiful.
Oakland, California, that's where I'm from.
And so we start walking around the lake. And like they were like, nah, come on. We trying to walk around the lake. Not a lot of people, somebody might meet you at the lake, but not a lot of people walk around that joint the whole way with you. They're like, nah, we trying to walk. And it was like a beautiful day, beautiful evening. All right, cool. Let's walk. So we're walking around the lake. And then my boy, he brings up, first of all, he's one of the most transparent people ever. And I shout him out for that. Shout out to Will Skipwith. That's my partner. So he told me that for the last 30 years or so, he's been practicing unconditional love. Him and my other man, Janabu. Shout out to you, Janabu. I meant to give you one of these. So they were talking about the concept of unconditional love. And this is just part of my growth story, saying I'm still growing. And as he said, unconditional love, as a sometimes guarded person, I'm guarded sometimes, in certain ways, but I was thinking, dang, there's always conditions on the love. I can't imagine unloving my son or unloving my mom or something like that, but everybody else is a condition. But this is so he told me the tenets of unconditional love. So check this out. Unconditional love.
No jealousy, no envy, no hate,
No gossip.
and the final one, no judgment,
No judgment.
no judgment.
So, man, I told him off rip, just being honest. I was like, I judge everything I can, because that's how I figure out if it's good for me or not. And then he was like, and let me get rid of the word like. We're going to zip that up. I'm not using the word like anymore if I don't need to. Likes and they get in the, or the, check me if you hear me say it again. This is how you deal with the disciplined tongue. So as he explained this concept of unconditional love to me, I ran it by him, the fact that I judge everything to keep my wits about me when it comes to if I'm going to hang with the person or not hang with the person, or even if it's something as simple as eat a food or not eat a food, or go to a restaurant or not go to a restaurant, or repeat an experience. I'm judging. I got to put it in the bad category box, or the bad box category, or the good or the nice or the exciting. I have to use these things in order to guide me. That's why I openly judge. He dropped this on me. He said, now, first of all, I'm never jealous, never envious, don't hate anybody. Hate is such a deep word. Hate is a word that if you feel that you hate, if that's part of your feeling, you probably need to make a real move on that. You probably need to do something. So if you hate and there's no action attached, you're just burning yourself up. It's you drinking the poison, hoping that something else happens to them. I don't hate. Gossip, I don't gossip about people. Online, I'll judge people though. In person to person, I'll judge somebody. I do that. And so I said, I don't know how not to do that. So then he dropped this on me. He said, if somebody fits in your space, or if a person is good for you, then what you need to do, or if there's an issue that you need to get straight with a person, you talk to that person about it. If you're able to work it out, great. You've worked it out and you've moved past the bad judgment part. You don't even have to agree. But if two people can talk and come to a center, then you move past that. If you cannot get past that, then without judging that person, good, bad, indifferent, you make space between you and that person. And what you do is give that person, not in their presence because it may come off condescending, but what you do, you give that person a blessing. You speak well on that person's name to yourself. So you get it straight with yourself that this person, you humanize that person to yourself, or that situation to yourself. And once you do that, that person is free to go out of your entire registry. But going somewhere else, gossiping about that person, or even telling yourself that person's dumb, bad, less than, whatever, it's not helpful to you. It occupies your mind with something that is not a building block for you. Many people don't like our president. I don't like our president. So I don't start a whole lot of conversations about the president of the United States. I didn't like the last president. I made space. I made so much space on voting day, I didn't vote. I didn't vote for, matter of fact, I might have voted, because I know Kamala has been part of my world. So I might have cast a ballot for, matter of fact, I did. I voted for Kamala. But when it was between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, I didn't vote. I didn't feel that either one of them was on my side, and I had anything to benefit from dealing with either one of them. When it was, who was the other dude? I forgot. It was a couple elections. Whoever Donald Trump ran against when he won that first time, I can't remember who he beat, but I ain't vote for him either. Was it Hillary? It might have been Hillary. I can't even remember. But I felt it was two poisons I was picking from. So instead of being mad, I just made distance. You know, I felt it was either you pick the ace of spades or the ace of hearts, but we're still playing with the same deck of cards. You know, so I made space. It works for me. Some of y'all might hate. Some of y'all might stay stuck on hate. Some of y'all might build a condo complex of hate, dislike, maybe not hate, but judgment. Good, bad, you're this, you're that, And online permeates that and it propagates that where you have to pick a side, where you give yourself moral high ground. You're still a freshman in life. If you're in the physical form, you have so much more life to live after your physical form that this might be kindergarten orientation in the cycle of life. So what do you really know? And how much better can you really be than somebody else? You know, I said, I'm working on it. The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. So if you bear the fruit of judgment, it's not saying much about you as the tree. It's just saying that you have things to work on as well. That's what I'm saying. And there's certain people where space needs to be created rather than staying in the mind frame of bringing up a conversation, even if it's just with yourself, about how less than someone else is. It's a tough lesson. I'm not there. But I was given a lesson of unconditional love. I know I said I was going to make a long story short, but this is a short story. This is a long story about the proper length that needs to be told. So we keep walking the lake. We're talking. It's a real good moment. We talk about various things. It was a beautiful moment between men. Very transparent about several things. I mean, this is the day that I closed my granny's casket, my nana's casket. So I'm a raw nerve. And my other man, he just lives as a raw nerve for several reasons. But we're just really having a nice building session. I'm learning so much from them. And I appreciate y'all brothers for really being there, allowing conversation to flow so openly. We didn't talk about the news. We didn't talk about the game. We didn't talk about the normal things that people get together and talk about because it feels familiar. We were actually walking and growing, and it was a wonderful moment. So outside of the principles of unconditional love and how to practice that, then we talked about building on this little AI lick that my man was privy to. In the Bay Area, is a lot of people privy to some AI licks. Whatever the future of the movements are, it starts on the West Coast. Legal or illegal, it starts on the West Coast, just like the weather. And then it blows from there and spins around the world. Just how it is. Always been like that. So we start talking about investing our minds and our time into the future. And as much as we talk about AI, as much as we know we got to use it, we know we got to learn this and that, and we might be asking questions. And as we live more, we think, I can create a chart, or I could create a plan, or I can look up some words here, or I could write a letter on this. It's way more to AI than using it as a convenient helper or using it as a resource. It's way more to it. Think of the octopus. The octopus has 9 brains and 3 hearts. Each leg of an octopus has a brain in it, and it has one in his head. To think about what that even is the way that you should be thinking about AI. It's a totally different way of seeing the world. So we're talking about that. We sat down on this bench. It started getting dark. We had to finish this conversation because when you get to the origin point of where we started walking the lake, the pillars, as it's called, the pillars. Have you been to the pillars? It's a party at the pillars. As you get to the pillars, there is a area where it's a tremendous dance party on Friday nights from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. For those of you who saw City of God, it's like that. It's fabulous. I wish I could remember the name of it or how they branded it. It's called Days. Dang, what's it called? I can't remember the name of it. This would be a perfect time to let y'all know. But that thing super cranks. The way I found out about it, we would have found out about it anyway because we were walking. When we started, it looked like they were setting up DJ booths or something. But then when we ended, when we got to the end of the lake, we saw this party was just popping in a real party way. It was Afro beats, South American music. Mainly it seemed like South American house music and then deep house music. And people were dancing and it wasn't on no funny style commercial corny shit. Like the shit was a big ass party. Mind you, this is the same day of the funeral. Now rewind. When I was there before the funeral, my grandmother passed away and then I showed up. I flew out there the next day. This was earlier this month. The day I got there, no, was it the day I got there? Probably the second day, the first full day I was there. That night, I ended up at the burrito truck. Now, for those of y'all who know where the taco truck is, the burrito truck, whatever you want to call it, this is a staple in Oakland. Tacos Mi Ranchos. Give it up. Shout out to the good people at Tacos Mi Ranchos. So I ended my night at Tacos Mi Ranchos, right? And that's where I met an angel. Matter of fact, let me give it up for real. That's where I met an angel. And she didn't even know the purpose she was serving. So I'm confused, distraught, I'm anxious. Now, this isn't the same night. I'm going to come back to that. But I was getting ready for what it meant to be around my mom, to be around, what it meant to just be existing without my grandmother. This is like fresh off of her passing. And I'm at the taco truck. And at the taco truck, I've been there, I promise you, hundreds of times. And it ain't a place where conversation be kicking off amongst strangers. Half the people will show up high or drunk or just on their own business. And then you get your taco, your burrito, you order it, you go mosey off to your car, you stand around, you get your food, you bounce. It's not a very social place, but it's always a line. They got it cracking. Trust that. So I order my joint. Veggie burrito, no sour cream, no cheese. Add the pickled onions and all the pickled peppers and all the veggies on that joint. And so no queso, no crema. So they take my order, and then this chick walked up to me. This beautiful angel walked up to me and said, "Oh, you're vegan?" She had an accent. Sound, come to find out it was an Australian accent. She was like, "Oh, you're vegan?" Yeah, I'm vegan. She was like, "Oh yeah, I was vegan for a little while. Now I'm just part vegan." And I was like, "Okay, what do you eat?" Some fish. I eat dairy. I'm whack at the Australian accent, but we start this conversation, and she asked me, "Am I coming from the dance party? Are you coming from the dance party?" Nah, I'm not coming from the dance party. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Dance party. And she's like, "Oh, it's a tremendous dance party at the Pillars." I was like, "What are the Pillars?" Like, I've been around the town for some moons. Talking about the Pillars. The Pillars around the lake. I don't know if they just started calling this thing the Pillars, but it's very descriptive because there are some pillars here, so it's at the Pillars. I would just call it the area where they had a drum circle, but all right, it's at the Pillars. Then she had all this glitter on her face, and then her friends did too. And I said, "No, I didn't come for a dance party from the Pillars, but tell me about it." She's like, "Oh, it's huge." And then she showed me some video from it. At that moment, I respected it. So she said, "Yeah, my friends are in town because my cat died, and we had a large funeral for my cat." She said her cat died on a Wednesday. And I said, "Wow, what a coincidence. I'm here because my grandmother passed away on Wednesday." So she said, "Oh, she passed on Wednesday? That's an interesting day. That was the day of the blood moon." "Do you know about the blood moon?" I said, "No, I don't know anything about the blood moon. Like, what is that?" So she explained that the blood moon is a celestial portal time that happens every now and then, and significant events happen. Either a beginning or an ending of something happens at the blood moon. So she ended up telling me that was a powerful day, and my grandmother chose to pass away that day. And she said, yes, on the blood moon she passed and she chose. That's very fortunate. Mind you, we're standing at the taco truck where I never have conversation. So the fact that her cat passed, it meant a lot to her. She had a funeral that day. That's how much the cat meant to her. Her friends came up for this, and my grandmother passed on the same day. And then she gives me this game about my grandmother choosing to pass away, which she did. She said she was tired. She didn't have very many days of pain. I feel like she kind of made a choice of being tired. She was ready. All types of things lined up. She passed away in her house. It wasn't no hospice or hospital or nothing. So she told me that. And just with the warmest spirit, this is why I call her an angel. With the warmest spirit, I feel like she showed up out of the blue and with glitter on her face, gave me all the information that I needed that night to balance myself in a way where it was okay, where everything was okay. And sometimes at these moments of loss or loneliness, we need some sign that things are okay. And she delivered it freely without knowing me. And then we went our separate ways, and it was a wonderful experience. It was magical, honestly. So I went home with that on my mind, like, wow, I'm up here not sure about how I feel. And then she comes with this cosmic blankie for me. And so then the next day, I was walking around the lake again during the day. And then when I finish, I get to a crosswalk, and she pulls up in the crosswalk the whole next day at another location. What? And I would not have noticed her. And so she looked out the driver's window and she was like, "Hey, the burrito truck, the taco truck, remember? Did I get your number?" you know, and I was just thinking, wow, this is amazing. What are the chances? I felt like she was an angel, and I hope I didn't put the 2 on the 10 and make it seem like she was saving me from myself or anything, but I just really appreciated her. The random act of social kindness. And I gave her my number and I told her to shoot me a text right now. So, you know, just to make sure she got it right and just make sure we could communicate. So she did. It was all good. That was it. Now, fast forward back to the night that me and my boys were walking around the lake. We finished talking. We sit on this bench. It got dark. We finished talking about, now this is 2 weeks later. We sit on this bench. We talking about this AI lick or whatever, as after we had like this superior bonding moment. And we got to the point where it was a time when we said, okay, now we ready to have a party? So we walk into this party. And as I said, first of all, it was my first time being there, first time experiencing this, but it was a major jam. One thing beautiful about Oakland, the city government gonna let you rock. And so people had their own bars set up. They selling food of all kind. It was this one table, they're chopping watermelon up, giving watermelon away. And what's better than free watermelon? Come on. Come on. It didn't have the black seeds in it. But still, at nighttime after a walk on a hot day, you still, all right, give me that. Give me that seedless watermelon. It ain't really my style, but you know, I'll take the seedless watermelon. I'll take the seedless watermelon this time. So we get a whiff of just everything that's going on. There's people playing horns and drums, and the DJ is super jamming. The sound system is spectacular. And we get in this thing and we just kind of melt off into the crowd. And it's music that's for music lovers and for people who just needed to get it off. Just get all your emotion into the air and just share this intertwined vibe that they supplied. The DJs there supplied what good DJs supply. They gave it to the crowd. Shout out to y'all. So I'm figuring it's Friday night and we're at the Pillars. So I texted the Aussie Angel, are you at the Pillars? And she said, I was thinking about coming to the Pillars. So then she came down to that joint, brought a friend, and it was hella cool seeing them. I'm with my people, and it was just hella cool. So we had a great time. And then we ended up kicking it all night. We went to her crib, and we really just had, I guess you could, for lack of a better term, you call that thing a dance party. It was just a kick it. Built a fire outside, you know, fire pit joint. Listen to good ass music. It was just human in a way that a lot of interactions just ain't human no more. And it was all gravy. It was good catching up with my boys, but then it was good also bonding with new good people, with everything just being peace. And I feel moments like that are lights along the path that let you know that everything is where it should be, as it should be. And I love the city of Oakland for that reason, for just having great people peppered all over that thing. And it just has a magnetism with the randomness that goes on in the town. It has a magnetism of reality that's rooted in there. And it's wonderful. Everybody who goes to Oakland knows what I'm talking about. Everybody who knows somebody from Oakland, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was just that. So that was a significant night that I feel I grew a lot from. And I feel that having a huge party, even down to to an intimate night set afterwards, it was really what Nana would have wanted for me after her day. She's not one for the tears. She's one for the living. And she would have always said, I've done mine. Now you go do yours. And I did mine. And I promise you, she threw me the alley-oop that night. And it was soul filling. It was beautiful. So thank you. And I want you all to make sure that you go out and do yours. Because I'm doing mine. This life is promised moment by moment, but the next day is not. Don't miss that. You got a real shot. You got the same 24 hours Michael Jackson had. Decide to be somebody. Go to grindstoneuniversal.com. Peace from Sorry for My Language.